Hello, in this video we're going to look at overloaded methods, which is a fancy way of saying a method or function that has multiple versions of itself. So, an example of one of these functions or methods is print. Print actually gets used in a variety of different ways. So far, we have been using print in a very simple manner. But it turns out that you can have it go through and do a variety of different things by just changing what you pass into the function or method. Function, method, pretty much the same thing. Just a pre-made chunk of code with a name. That's what a function or method is. A pre-made chunk of code with a name. Now, when I do this, it just takes the t and multiplies it 3 times. If I put another comma there, and I put another character after it, it will go ahead and print out t space a. And you can see that it really reacted quite differently depending on what it was given. Oh, come on. The program's pretty smart. It figures out what you passed in as arguments. That's what these are. These are arguments being passed into the print function or method. And it decides which version of print to run. Now, print is set up so that it has a variety of ways you can run it, and this makes it, basically a fancy term for it is polymorphic. But basically you have multiple versions of itself, and it can be thought of as an overloaded method. There's a couple other things you should note here. If you're using version 3 of Python, you can go ahead and do this thing. If not, you're going to have to go ahead and add in the import print function at the top of your script for version 2 of Python. But here's an example. See, I've got the T there, and I've got an A. And let's see here, test message. Well, what the heck, I'll just type it out a bit. Well, by default, it prints out a space between things, but if you want it to, you can tell it that you would like to add a separator. And say the separator equals something. Oh, I don't know, I'll use a dash just like I did in my little note there. Now this is another version of print, and when it runs, you get the dash. You may notice that if I run 2 print statements together, let's say I run it like this. I guess I have to have something there. At the end of the print, even if I don't print anything, I get a carriage return. Now it's invisibly putting one of these guys in. Remember, Python's trying to be friendly. It's been putting one of those in there. And but I could change that behavior by going through and telling it that the end character is supposed to be something different. And say I'll go ahead and put in a colon. Now, instead of getting a carriage return, I end up with the colon. I can't really see it there, so let me try it again. Print. How about I'll just print in some kind of text. 2, 3. Okay, see how 1, 2, 3 shows up at the end here? If I take off this, it'll use a default. The default is a carriage return. And you can see how it added a carriage train here at the end. Now, Python's documentation. If you go out there and you look on the internet, also in your start menu, you'll see a link to the documentation. So I'll go over the start menu now and open that up. It's under Python manual. If I search around for the print command, yep, actually I didn't get the right one. That's the one I want. I'll see that it says something like this. Print, you can put in various different objects. The square brackets almost always means, in computer languages across the board, it's some kind, it's something that's optional. You don't have to have something typed in order for it to work. Let me see if I can prove that here. So what it's saying is that if you call the print statement and you don't put any object in there whatsoever, it's still going to run, because the square brackets indicate that an object is optional. Object is a generic term. This is a character object. This is a integer object. Object just means some kind of data in general. So you can start off with an object, and then you can have one or more of those. The star indicates that, excuse me, you can have one or more of those. The ellipse button here, or ellipse, the ellipsis symbol indicates that you can have a collection of those. The star indicates that you can multiply it. The separator indicates that you can add a separator if you want, and the default is a space. Just like the end, the default is a new line. There's some other ones too, but I think you're getting the idea now. The idea is that you can have multiple versions of print because you can add in different things. In some languages, as in C#, you actually have to make multiple versions of the function and line it out, or at least you used to. In 2008 they made it more like Python, or maybe 2010, can't remember which one. The SQL language used in database programming also has this feature where you have optional parameters. So anyway, this is what they refer to as a overloaded method. Now we're going to be looking at a number of these things, these functions and overloaded methods and the like going forward. So this won't be the last time we talk about it, so don't worry about it too much. But the fact is that it's a really convenient way of designing a programming language. And the reason for that is you have one print statement, but it can be used many ways, so you don't have to memorize something like print statement 1 does this, and print statement 2 does that, and print statement 3 does something different. You just have one name, and you just pass in the arguments into the parameters to make it perform the different types of operations. Again, we'll be looking at other facets of this at a later point in time, and do keep in mind that if you're using version 2, you'll have to actually include this at the top of your script. Okay, that's it. Next on the list is I want to talk about concatenation. I'll see you in that video.